Hello, namaste, guten Tag. Happy Women's Day to all the incredible women. Shine on, not just today, but every day. I, Gautam Sagar, founder of Indian Diaspora, extend my heartiest welcome to our chief guest, Mr. John H. Rulangul, Consul General of India, Hamburg, our Vice Consul General, Gulshan Dhingra, our eminent speakers and audience who are joining through Facebook Live. Let me first introduce you our eminent speakers. Let's start with Greta Garlisch. You are chairperson of Bündnis 90 Die Grünen in Hanover, Germany. Annalena Baerbock, current Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs of Germany, is from Green Party, Die Grünen. Probably it is interesting to mention that at the age of 25, you have taken such a great responsibility. Your key area of responsibility includes anti-discrimination, ecological urban planning, affordable housing, feminism, LGBT politics, and culture. You are also the spokeswoman of your party for LGBT at a state and federal level. You are joining us from Germany. Dr. Aarti Garg, you are a surgeon, teacher, futurist, and innovator. You have MBBS and MS from India, and MRCS and FRCS from UK. You are a trained laparoscopic surgeon and currently working as a consultant surgeon at Bath Health Trust, London. You have been awarded Bath Health Heroes Award in 2018-19 for relentlessly improving and innovating for patient safety. In 2019, you were awarded Bath Health Meet Who's Inspiring Women. You are joining us from UK. Pallavi Arora, you possess a MCA degree. Since more than 2 decades, you are a proprietor of Arora & Sons agencies in India. You are the General Secretary of Jila Mahila Udyog Vyapar Pratinidhi Mandal and Secretary of Prayagraj Women Entrepreneur Welfare Association. You are very much active in social service. You are joining us from India. Neha Jha, you are an IT techie, a life coach, Mrs. India First Runner-Up 2021, Mrs. India Telangana 2020 winner. You are a passionate and compassionate soul who believes that each of us has the ability to transform our own societies, our own stories into an extraordinary one. You believe in being a face with purpose, joining us from India. Hannah Tabu, you are an experienced HR manager on the East Coast of Canada, currently working as a talent advisor at Canada's first subscription-based full-service talent acquisition solution provider, talent-minded. You specialize in employees' relations, candidate experience, and bringing a lens to inclusion and belonging to people matters. You are joining us from Canada. Shama Sinha, you are practicing as a lawyer at Patna High Court and Supreme Court of India, working for women and children rights. As part of social responsibility, you conduct legal camps and provide free legal aid to underprivileged women and children. You have been raising questions and fighting for the security of minor girls in shelter homes. You believe and demand gender neutrality in society. You are joining us from India. Welcome you all once again. Before we start the discussion, may I kindly invite our Consulate General, Mr. Rulangul, to say a few words. We would like to thank Mr. Rulangul for his support and encouragement. In spite of busy schedule, he has put an additional effort and joining us through this platform. Mr. Rulangul, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Gautam, founder of Friends of Indian Diaspora. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. Ms. Greta Garlisch, chairperson of Hanover Green Party, and Dr. Aarti Garg, consultant surgeon at Barts Health Trust, London. Ms. Neha Jha, Mrs. India, first runner-up in 2021 and also manager at Accenture. And Ms. Pallavi Arora, General Secretary of the District Pragraj Mahila Vyapar Mandal. And Ms. Shama Sinha, advocate at Patna High Court. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Namaste and happy International Women's Day. And also greetings from sunny and beautiful Hamburg here in Germany. I think we should give thanks that after 2 years, there are indications that the pandemic seems to be finally waning, which is a big relief, even though the figures still remain a bit high in Germany and Europe. At the same time, we have to remember that we are currently living under the shadow of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, where we have people fighting and dying. And this place is not very far away from here. And I think we should all acknowledge that it is a big privilege to be able to gather like this and participate in a program like this. So the theme for this year's International Women's Day is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow, which is in recognition of the contribution of women and girls around the world who are leading the charge on climate change adaptation, mitigation, and response to build a more sustainable future for all of us. And gender equality is one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And already considerable progress has been made over the years, but there is still so much more to do. Before I highlight just a very few facts and statistics to show that the current status of gender equality and its importance in ensuring a sustainable future for everyone across the world, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank and acknowledge the strength, courage, and positive influence that the women in my own life, from my mother to my wife to my daughter, women colleagues and friends have had on my own life. I think we all agree that women are the backbone of our lives, in the family, in society, at work, and we should take this occasion to acknowledge their strength and leadership at home and also in the nation as a whole. At the same time, this is also the time to stand by all the women struggling against all forms of oppression and injustice and call on society to overcome these prejudices. So in 2017, a study was conducted by the World Economic Forum, which found that women have only 68% of the rights, opportunities, and access to resources enjoyed by the world's men. This differences and speed of progressing in reducing them may vary from country to country, but according to these researchers, at this current pace, it will take 100 years to eradicate gender disparities. This is a very daunting task and also a stark reminder to us that there is a lot of work to be done. But the good news is that the world is more and more aware of the need to fight gender inequality, which in many places is connected to other types of discrimination, such as racism, casteism, xenophobia, or even homophobia. The benefits of equal rights are becoming evident. An International Labour Organization study showed that if by 2025, the worldwide gender gap in the labor market shrank by 25%, one result would be a 204 million increase in the workforce, which would represent US $5.8 trillion in global GDP. And one of the biggest challenges we face today is climate change and sustainability, which have had and will continue to have severe and lasting impacts on our environment, economic and social development. And those who are among the most vulnerable and marginalized experience the deepest impacts. And women are increasingly being recognized as more vulnerable to climate change impacts than men are. because they constitute the majority of the world's poor and are more dependent on the natural resources which climate change threatens the most. So advancing gender equality in the context of the climate crisis and disaster risk reduction is one of the greatest global challenges of the 21st century. So I just wanted to highlight these few facts and statistics to emphasize the fact that while a lot of progress has been made and are continuing to be made, we still need to do more to ensure gender equality in order to guarantee a sustainable future for everyone across the world. And the International Women's Day is an occasion when we are reminded of this fact and the need for each one of us to contribute our bit to ensuring a more equitable world for our own future. Today, we have a distinguished panel of guests and speakers, and I'm greatly looking forward to hearing from all of them. I'm sure we will learn and benefit from your wisdom and experience. So once again, thank you, Dr. Gautam Sagar, for organizing this event. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much, sir, for with so much of nice words and with so much of facts. That is, I think, setting a right pace for us to start with. So before I go to also for the panel discussion, so I would first say thank you very much once again, and I say a few words also about this Women's Day celebration. So as you rightly said, today the world is celebrating International Women's Day. This year, the theme of International Women's Day is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow, recognizing the contribution of women and girls around the world who are leading the charge on climate change adaptation, mitigation, and response to build a more sustainable future for all. The earliest claimed Women's Day observance called National Women's Day was held in New York City in 1909. In 1975, during International Women's Year, the United Nations began celebrating 8th March as International Women's Day. Since 2003, on several occasions, gender equality or equality has been theme of United Nations. It is an honor to be with you all today in the company of so many amazing women to discuss about gender equality or equality in general, their success stories, their contribution in empowering women. It seems Women's Day observance is a long-running project through which we have achieved a lot and still a lot need to be done. In my opinion, every year celebration can be seen as a milestone where we can review our goal and adjust the action to reach the goal. So, may I start with you, Hannah? May I request you to express your understanding about the goal of International Women's Day celebration, and in your opinion, how far we have achieved them?
Absolutely. So in my perspective, I think International Women's Day started as a great way of bringing attention to the fact that women are a valued member of society, that we have just as much to contribute as any other person, and that it's important to recognize our contributions, diverse as they might be. I do feel like International Women's Day might have become a little more performative, especially by corporate cultures, where they comment on it every month or every year and say, oh, we support women, but we don't see the practices actually following up on that. And so while I think it's done a great job in bringing attention to the fact that women exist, hello, we're all here, I'm not sure it's actually achieving much in terms of advancing the idea of equity and equality in workplaces, at home, and in life in general.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Hannah. So let's move forward and have some other opinion. Shama, what is your takeaway from Women's Day celebration? Where do we stand today? Have we achieved something significant, in your opinion?
Look, what I have experienced in last few years, rather few decades, that there is remarkable change. If we think on from the perspective of Indian women, I think Indian women especially from the ages, if we consider our history, Indian women were always empowered. And there was a time when the empowerment started deteriorating and we started becoming dependent, and we were put behind the curtains, and we were kept in the houses. Because if we see our culturally, we always consider women as a power, and we celebrate it, we worship it. But there were the phases when Indian women was put behind the bar, behind the houses, behind the curtains, and they were actually exposed to some culturally and some customs which were which were keeping the women behind the men, and there was a requirement, and there was a feel of women empowerment. Otherwise, that also slowly, with the help of the government and with the help of the independent agencies, some NGOs, some people who were social reformers, there has been a remarkable change. Now, coming to the modern phases, what I feel in last 20 years, working in a field where women are more not accepted 20 years back, because I'm in a field where if I go back 20 years back, the women in legal, especially profession, they were not taken seriously. And rather, when we meet in public also, we find that the women in last 20 years are more and more, they are more enlightened towards their rights, and we have more able to achieve much more than what we are thinking on the international lines also, because we have even brought reforms through separate laws also. Like recently we have in India, we have abolished teen talaq, three. There was a divorce, a particular type of a divorce which was given to a Muslim woman, that we have abolished. We have brought that equal inheritance to the females also have been introduced. So there are certain steps which are being taken at the government level, at the social level, as well as from the independent individuals also, which has, I think, it is a remarkable journey for, especially for Indian women.
Thank you very much. I just want to bring this, that yes, if you look historically, Indian women were very empowered. Even if we look to the name of the god, we call Sita Ram. So women coming first, God is Shankar. So very nicely said. Thank you very much. So now I would like to move to Greta. As a politician, how would you define the goal? How close we are to that goal?
At first, I would say, oh, we're very close to having equal rights. But then I learned about facts, about data, something Mr. Rongo already said at the beginning, facts, data. We're far away from equality, but we're in a very good way to be positive. There's a lot of things we can do and a lot of things that are invisible to us, where we still have to go a long way, but there are great things that happened. In politics, we always have the same problem. In our parliament, we have, I don't know, 38% women, and it's okay, but you can see it in politics that are made, because when women are in power, things change, because they see things from perspective of women. And so they make politics for women, and they think for the people living in that country. And I think we need a feminist or we need feminist politics in the whole wide world. And you can see what it can do when women are foreign ministers, as you can see with Annalena Baerbock. She has a very specific way of addressing politics, right now in the war between Ukraine and Russia. And I think the world would be much more peaceful if we would have more women in power and deciding things.
Thank you very much. Nice to hear that. You see that at least we have really come along forward, and nice for your views. Now it is time to listen something from our techie woman who has been Mrs. India runner-up. Could you please share your thoughts on goal of such celebration, Neha? Does such celebration has positive impact in your surroundings?
Yeah, thanks, Gautam, for this question. So definitely such celebrations do have a positive impact around society, but the sad thing is that it doesn't last long, because as wonderful ladies and gentlemen have already said that the data reveals the fact, and that's the truth. So today, in my organization, we were actually doing some data analysis, and we came to know that in our organization, the capacity of women workforce is just 30%. So we are yet to cover the rest 20%. So of course, the inequality is there, but then slowly, we are bridging the gap. And one thing here I would like to highlight is that when God created these wonderful two human species, which are men and women, the God distributed women and men equal EQs and IQs. Then why are we, or the society, making such difference? Why are we getting this bias and prejudice along with us? We should not. So it's high time that we accelerate the equality between men and women, celebrate each day as an equal day, and eradicate and uproot all the bias and prejudices that we have. So yet to cover, but we are progressing. So that's a good sign.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Neha. So I truly say that you rightly said that every day should be celebrated as an equal day, not only on the day when we are celebrating Women's Day. Rightly put it. So now I will be very excited to listen a doctor's view, Aarti, regarding the goal and achievement of Women's Day celebration from your point of view.
Thank you, Gautam. I'm delighted, to connect with the like-minded individuals. What I perceive, like women in surgery, because I think whatever our perception and assumption is, actually the data speaks. So I was just surprised, all over worldwide, the medical graduates are about more than 50% female. But when you see how they reach the senior position or how the representation in the surgery is, so worldwide about only 22% female are surgeons. And if you look, like in India, it is 2.8%, the highest in where these countries where the amazing data came from during the COVID, we saw like Norway, Finland, these are nearly 50%, Denmark, Germany, even Germany has one. And the lowest in the world is Japan and Korea, where still the East Asian. So why is that? Why are we, is it because the women in surgery, are they judged harshly? They get widely discriminated, widely, and I think surgery, thinking like how the perception is. From my own experience, I can say, to make things more understanding, that if I go with my team of male members, how the patient perceives as that I'm automatically a nurse, to perceive a female in charge or a position is a bit difficult. If I'm going with a male member, male doctor who is much more junior, the patient perceives that he is the main doctor. So I think these inequalities of the gender gap, they are ingrained from the childhood, and they are ingrained such how, we treat a male child versus a female child, how we treat our colleagues, how automatically, like if some guests come, like a female or a girl child is asked to serve the host. So, they are ingrained that it is taking care of the home is your responsibility. So once ingrained, it becomes institutionalized. So I think if a change has to come, we have to introspect ourselves and inspect ourselves, and then, think like what I would like to quote one very important American revolutionary, Frederick Douglass. He said, "Power conceives nothing without demand." If we keep asking that we got to be treated well, no one gets treated well. But like what very important Ms. Shama has said, that once it becomes a law, it becomes a legal or economic or institutional structural change or a reform, people are forced to, recognize the importance or treat women well, then accordingly the views will change. For example, like same-sex marriages, how our views got accepted. So I think very important from the policymakers, more women representation in policymakers will bring this change. Lastly, I would just like to share that during this COVID pandemic, how our gender gap has increased. It has increased more by 36 years. So current situation or current trajectory, it will take 136 years to close the gender gap worldwide. So I think it's gender equality or gender parity is still a distant dream.
Thank you very much. So still we have to break the bias, let's say that. So moving forward, I would like to now request Pallavi, considering your area of interest, how would you define that the goal of such a celebration, whether the situation of women entrepreneur in your domain been significantly different had such celebration not taken place over the last decade?
So firstly, I'd like to put up, I feel that God has made women genetically superior to men. For every X chromosome they have, we have 2 X chromosomes. And like each strand has more than 1000 genes on that. That is the reason, like during all the pandemics except COVID, for which data is still not available for us, we have seen women were able to sustain maximum stress because of the pandemic, because of the mental traumas they have been through. Though men have been like bearing the physical endurance, but the women have been mentally more stronger. So instead of saying, I want to reach the level, we must realize and make our sons and brothers also realize that women are definitely genetically more superior to them because they can sustain more. And as far as my country is concerned, we have seen a lot of women entrepreneurs becoming successful startup business owners. We had our first defense minister, who was a lady, and now she is our finance minister as well. So India, in last, I would say, last 1 decade, has really encouraged women to reach new heights and gain new confidence. And in the area where I've been working for last many years, I'm into retail sector and a lot of social service. So we have also seen younger girls coming up, picking up good like education degrees and performing well and giving a tough competition to their peers as well. Like ma'am is from Patna High Court, she knows that lady advocates, they do come up with such fine agreements and the way they put up things. Indian women, they've always been very strong, and I hope that coming generations will be like that. So instead of saying we want to reach the level, we should start saying we are so already quite superior. That is what I feel.
Okay, so thank you for your viewpoint, but here we are there to break the bias and treat them equally. So let's move in that direction. So thank you very much, first of all, for sharing all of your ideas. And as Aarti has already explained that this report that says that according to the World Economic Forum 2021 Global Gender Gap Report, more than 135 years will be needed for countries to close the gender gap. And the important thing is that an increase of more than 35 years from the World Economic Forum 2020 report. Some more facts. Once again, according to World Economic Forum 2021 Global Gender Gap Report, across the 4 sectors measured, political empowerment, economic participation, education, and health, the greatest disparities are seen among political empowerment, a measure of gender parity within politics, which takes into account political representation from the parliamentary level to head of a state. A gap will take even 10 years longer, which means 145 years to close. So Greta, in your opinion, whether equal participation is the key to gender equality or equal opportunity? Furthermore, how is your party dealing with this topic, and where does it stand with respect to other big political parties in Germany or other countries?
Begin, we had a female chancellor, Angela Merkel, and after she finished, or after she said, I will not longer run for Chancellor of Germany, the whole population was confused. Is it even possible to have a male chancellor in Germany? Because everyone was very happy. Now we have a male chancellor, and we saw it is possible, but we still miss her. And we as a party, as a Green Party, are a feminist party also. we have a quote for 50% just inside the whole party. It is a system that is, some people are pro, some people are con, but we live it. And we just tried it out because we said, okay, as you said, Gautam, we will have a long way to reach equality. So we need to take some instruments to change it. So we said 50%, let's try it out. And the result is very, very good because we're empowering women from the beginning. When they come into the political world, we say, come in, join us, and we're going to give you some advice. We're just taking you into the political world because political world is often seen as a male world. So they are just learning from the beginning and being empowered. And this is the, I don't know, the reason why I am at the age of 25 in politics. And I think that's a great way to start. But we wish it would be in the whole parliament and we would have gender equality in whole politics everywhere, because we are very, very sure of feminism being a good thing also for men. Men are profiting from feminism all the way, and we want to give them the good sides of feminism too.
So very interesting. So does it mean that we necessarily not need the over 100 years because your party is already showing that it is possible? So maybe there are some more smart ways to achieve faster. Do you agree, Greta?
There are many instruments that have to be used to reach gender equality. This is just one, and we're the only party practicing it. But there are many, many other parties joining us and doing the same. So we're hopeful because other parties are adapting. So it's a big thing. It's not a party thing. It's a thing of all political parties. We have to work together. And they're starting to, but it's just one instrument of many others.
Thank you very much, Greta, for such a wonderful explanation and so clear message to all of us. So moving forward, I want to bring one more information. According to Professor Graham, Director of Gender Equality Initiative in International Affairs at Washington University, when women are represented in government, they tend to advocate for policies that benefit women, such as maternity and paternity leave and other type of family-friendly policies. Pallavi, what would be your take on it? Pallavi, can you hear? It looks like...
No, there's little, there's some internet problem. Can you repeat the question?
I said that according to Professor Graham, Director of Gender Equality Initiative in International Affairs at Washington University, when women are represented in government, they tend to advocate for policies that benefit women, such as maternity and paternity leave and other type of family-friendly policies. What do you think about it?
We already have it in India for 6 months.
Sorry?
Women, if you're working in India, 6 months of maternity leave is already allowed in India.
Okay, good. So you believe that if we will have more women in the policy making, we will have more such...
I think it should be more inclined towards providing more employment and higher education and providing more opportunities. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your take. So now I move forward and I would say that, okay, according to news-based country survey, older age groups are more likely to believe women should be entitled to the same rights as men. Shama, would you be comfortable in accepting such an outcome, or you would expect differently based on your experience of working with underprivileged women?
I think with the equality, the equality cannot be just asked without any responsibility. When I work with the underprivileged women, I find that they are, what we think about empowerment, they are more empowered because they are working, they are handling the family expenses, family finances also equally with the men. They are working with men. So the concept of equality, yes, women need more equality, there should be equality for women. But when we specifically come for the underprivileged, you define for a financially, who are ladies who are you come from a poor background, they work equally, especially when we come to such areas, and they handle the finances. And now there are so many policies which they are benefited of. We have Manregas, where the employment guarantee. The problem of equality is between the middle rag of the women, where they are trying to break the ice. They come to forward into the enter into the male areas. That is the areas which were traditionally, which have been marked for men. That yes, especially judiciary, like I think Dr. Garg has explained that in even medicine also. So when women try to come in that areas, there it is actually where equality is required more. We demand more equality. Rather, we more than preferences we require is that it should be treated with our efforts, or of women's effort in that field must be recognized and respected. So that way, I think that yes, equality should be there, and I fully agree that women need more equality.
So would you agree that that irrespective of the age group of women, every age group expect the same equality? Does it mean that you do not, let's say, agree with this kind of outcome, which was published by New Best Country Survey? There they say that older age groups are more likely to believe women should be entitled to the same rights as men. So thank you very much for sharing your experience from your ground report, I would say. So let's go for some other data here. Gender equality is one of 76 matrices in the 2021 Best Countries report, where survey participants were asked how closely they associate that attribute with a nation. In 2021, the Netherlands was perceived as the most gender equal, followed by Sweden, Denmark, Canada, and Norway. The top scorers, based on perception, have high rates of women representation in politics relative to rest of the world. And some, particularly Nordic region, have been leaders in gender equality for decades. So these are some facts and figures. So now I would request Hannah. We are very much interested in knowing from your experience, how do you see in Canada? One is the facts and reports, and you are there from directly, so it will be very nice to listen your practical view.
Absolutely. So I do think we are advantaged here in Canada. You know, women have many of the same rights and are viewed in many of the same ways. But I'd say that it comes down to the fact that when we talk about equality, we're talking about giving women the same rights as men. And it's kind of this idea of trying to put women on the same level as men, and women are expected to behave the same as men. And so when we're in the workplaces, when we're in different environments, that behavior comes out in ways where suddenly having emotions at work aren't acceptable. That's a woman's thing, not a man's thing. And so women are told, yes, you have all the same rights, but we're not going to respect your behaviors and the backgrounds that you're bringing to it. And I think that that's one of the big topics of this conversation that we're not seeing, is that when it comes to equality, having the same rights doesn't always mean that you're being viewed as people. I think if we took gender out of it and we just said, are we treating people at the same level? Suddenly you're going to see a lot more disparities, because you look at things in terms of even employment. People in traditionally male roles tend to see higher wages than people in traditionally female roles. So why is it that those caring for children, that those on an administrative side of things, that those in nursing and home care are not considered to be valuable as much as those as lawyers, technical consultants, managers? Why are we still seeing such differences in that area? We might all be equal in terms of the rights that we have, but we're not equal in the way that we're being perceived by other people. And the behaviors that we bring as women are not being perceived as valuable or permitted in many places. We're expected to be just as fierce. We're expected to be more determined. We're expected to step up in order to be part of their world rather than being accepted as we are. Why do we have to be changing our perspectives and our behaviors and our attitudes to fit into the male world? Why aren't we looking at males adjusting to our world? Why can't we say that men should be equal to women? Why isn't that being part of the conversation at this point? And I think that that's the differences from that North American's perspective to some of the other regions, is perhaps we have kind of gained ground in a bunch of these other areas. And so we're now kind of taking a look at what are these behaviors and these beliefs underneath it all, where on the surface, we might have reached this kind of parity and equality, but we haven't addressed the equitable aspect of things, where we're treated the same, but only if we behave the same. We're not acknowledging the actual differences between men and women.
Thank you very much, Hannah. So I think it is time for me to read out some nice comments that we are getting on the Facebook Live. So Prachi is saying, you nailed it, Hannah. Ritika is saying, true, Hannah. And Prachi has been also talking about that she also agrees that the older age group speaks from their experience. So she agrees that from the survey that old people more tend to talk about the equality than the younger people. So there are many nice comments. Someone is saying agreeing on different point of view. Well said. So Sarita has said, wow, mom, you are my inspiration. So thank you very much, guys, for joining through Facebook and giving this nice comments. So time to time, I will keep reading to keep you also engaged. So let's move forward now. So in 2015, the 193 member countries of the United Nations came together to commit to 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Goal 5 focused on gender equality and set the ambitious target of achieving gender equality and empowering women and girls everywhere by 2030. 5 years later, large gender gap remains across the world. Even according to one of the reports by McKinsey, since 2015, progress toward gender equality has been marginal. Neha, in your opinion, what would be the reason?
Yeah, Gautam. So I think from my point of view, there are two major reasons. One is mindfulness for sure, because if we are mindful in our own families, see, everything starts from a family. So when a kid is born, the kid starts imbibing his or her own parents. So the kid witnesses the relationship his or her mom and dad have. Is that relationship based out of respect, love, and companionship? So those are the early seeds that the kids have in their brain. And day by day, those seeds nurture into plants. So if we are mindful enough that in a family, we respect each other with respect, love, and companionship, I think that's the way with our small moves, initial moves, we can, make world a better place and also teach our kids indirectly to have respect towards the other gender. So mindfulness certainly is one of the things. And certainly for a country like India, what I have seen that we need to break or cut off our ancestral thought patterns or mindsets. Because still, if you see in few of the rural areas of India, people are still living in that old generation and following the old generation patterns, which now needs to be eradicated. People should understand that we are living in a new world where we are working towards equality. There's a technical and techno-savvy world out here, and we are really progressing. So of course, cutting off or breaking our ancestral thought patterns and bringing in mindfulness in our daily lives, I think these are the small steps through which we can cover the current gap that we have. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Neha. So I think these are really very valuable and right points. But nevertheless, I again want to read some comments from the people in the Facebook. So they are also complimenting each other. They're saying excellent, and one is saying the other, like Ritika is saying to Prachi, that excellent comment, and so on. So there are also some chat going on between the audience. So very nice, very engaging. Thank you everyone for making it so engaging and entertaining. So moving forward now, I would talk about the finances. So financial and economic empowerment is one of the key factors in keeping the gender balance out of balance, which was also this point was touched by Mr. Rangul in the beginning of his speech. A 2020 World Economic Forum report suggested that if we keep at our current pace of correcting this imbalance, it will be another 100 years until women receive equal pay for equal work. So Hannah, is gender difference the only reason? Why do we have such an imbalance?
I think it goes back to what I talked about before and how we don't recognize, how do we define equal work, right? Is a person who's working with a client and developing a technical solution really that much more skilled or much more valuable than the person who's in the back office processing the payroll or managing the entire office, right? You have people managing situations on both sides, and yet one is viewed as being that much more important and thus that much more paid. And time after time, I've been in situations where I've seen, oh yes, if you're doing the same job, you're going to get paid the same. We're going to make sure that it's equal. But we're not looking in the broader picture of, well, what about the roles themselves? Is there equality amongst the roles? And it's not just about equal work, equal pay. It's recognizing what equal work is. Is a person who's managing a daycare facility really that much different from a person who's managing a team in a corporate business? They're both displaying the same values. They both have the same expectations on them in terms of what is involved in management and managing people and making a business successful. And yet one of them is going to make vastly higher amounts than the other because they're considered to be a more valuable member of society, or their work is considered to be more elevated in terms of the education or what's required behind it. And I think that until we can kind of start looking at some of these lesser valued roles as being equally important and demonstrating the same abilities and the same efforts, then we're not actually going to find that equal pay, equal work, because we're not willing to go beyond that definition of equal work means two people doing the exact same thing.
Thank you very much. So it is a lot more than just the gender difference and the kind of work. So many things comes together. So it's a really complex topic, and you have put it really very nicely in a nutshell. Thank you very much, Hannah. So Arti, would you like to add something here, if you have, from your experience, from your domain?
Yes. So, I mean, as Hannah was saying, so just to put a number to it, in surgery, about 27% of women are paid less. I think women are afraid to ask the same pay for the same work, or maybe they are getting promoted less. I mean, like it is shown that, as I said, that about 50% of our medical graduates, but only 12% become consultant or in senior position. So I think this is a widely sort of similar thing in all areas, like be it economical, technical. I don't know, probably other members have like policymakers. I think so. How we will have gender equality? I think it should start from gender parity. What does parity means is equal pay and equal education. But I would also like to add equal opportunity, because that's where it will start. So how we can probably narrow the gap is probably skill-based assessment. I think probably that's what Ms. Sinha has also said. And making more women as mentors, have more work-life balance, like make it priority, and why women are penalized for going on a maternity leave, and why after maternity leave, when they come back, they are saying that they are de-skilled. So maybe like the system should have some inbuilt sort of inbuilt program where if you are going on a maternity leave, then maybe they can have the internal training to come back to the same level, which I don't believe like that they get these skill in 6 months or so, but still they are labeled as then now you're not for running for a senior position and things like that. So I think one, the law has to change, then the views will change. We have to make education more gender sensitive, give proper value to the housework of female. I think that is vastly unrecognized and considered as unimportant. And maybe, you know, like stop objectifying women. And I think all type of abuse. I think abuse is not just sexual, but it is manifold. Even, you know, like the financial independence, even though the wife is working, earning, but she's still not having a financial independence. And so many cases we see that there is cases of financial abuse. So I think all in all, a lot more work needs to be done. But I think these type of forums where we are talking, celebrating Women's Day, I think every day should be a Women's Day. Why just one day? But just, you know, we focus, make everyone aware to, you know, increase awareness, to bring a change.
Okay, thank you very much. So it was really nicely said. So I will now, let's say, move the focus to slightly different part of the discussion. So I would request Greta to listen this and have her opinion. Would there be a significantly different impact on women than men undergoing pandemic as well as crisis in Ukraine?
You can see that there is a man named Putin in Russia, and he likes to present himself riding horses, having no top, fishing, being a real man. And real men do war. It is not true, no? I'm just saying with a little smile.
It is like a bias.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is just a difference in them talking. If you listen to politicians and the way they are speaking to the people and the way they want to address people and the goals that are setting for themselves, you can see, like, data shows that women are less likely to start a war. Which women do you know starting a war? There are not many. There are, but not many. Or they're more interested in keeping the society together. They're protecting their people. It does not mean that we have to have women on all the power positions and that we have to have no men at all. We need equality, but we need more women participating in those decisions. And I think the whole situation would have been less violent and less dangerous for all the people if there were women in charge and more women to protect and more women to not take their weapons and fight each other. And I think that it would be very important right now to have more women speaking. And as you can see, women are suffering the most right now. There are women with their children fleeing, and it's just 1,000 kilometers away from Germany. They're arriving in Germany, they're arriving at my hometown, lots of women, lots of children, and it's just heartbreaking to see that. And I'm very glad, I'm very happy that we have a feminist foreign minister, Annalena Baerbock. If you see or if you hear her speeches, she's very clear and naming the problem. She's very clear naming Putin, and it's very important to not name the Russian people, because Russian people are just humans. They are not saying, yeah, let's invade Ukraine. It's just Russian people. But the problem is a man named Putin who has a little complex, a big complex, to say it in like kind of jokey way, but you know what I mean. It's a very dangerous and rough situation. So yes, we could fight pandemics, we could fight wars better with more women in power and more equality in politics.
So, I mean, yeah, thank you very much for your view. So I just want to bring a little bit your focus back. So you say that, okay, in general, you say that women leadership would bring more peace and sustainability. So I want to keep those few examples out, those individuals. I would like to have a very objective question that, do we have enough examples to conclude such a thing? Or we still should be a little bit more patient, wait, and then conclude such a thing? It is just an indication that this is a direction, or you think, no, this is it, this is a clear conclusion? So just a quick, short answer.
Yes, but I would like to think about it a little bit longer, but
Okay.
I want to be precise. It's a very, very rough question.
Very good. Thank you very much. Nevertheless, I would maybe now request Shama whether she would like to comment on this topic, whether women leadership would bring more peace and sustainability, or whether we would say that women will suffer more because of the war than the men. So can you combine this topic and give your crisp comment?
I think both pandemic and war has equal, when we speak about equality, I think they have equal impact on all the human, including men and women. Yes, of course, the thing is that pandemic has a specific in some countries. We are traditionally, and rather I think in West also, where traditionally women are in charge of the household cures also. They have been working in a double shift, both as a house manager and as a working woman also. So somehow that has impacted. Secondly, because coming from a background, from a legal profession, I feel even the domestic violence cases have increased drastically during this pandemic period. So that is rather it is reporting sometimes, or it is actually it was happening because more the people were spending more time together. Rather, for the war, where war is concerned, it is not only the Ukraine war, but traditionally also whenever there is a war, woman is, it is not about the suffering. Woman has a different type of a suffering also. That is because of her sex, because of her gender. That is that she's always exposed to other complications, other things also. That is other type of a sexual violence also. So I don't comment that this might be happening in Ukraine or not, but any war, women suffer more definitely, because she has children she's emotionally connected to, a family she has to separate from. So she, because of her emotional factors also, she suffers more. Otherwise I think it is equally impacting men and women.
Thank you very much. So now we are also getting a lot more question on the Facebook, but so I would say that I have prepared, let's say, 2 questions right now from the Facebook and from myself for our CG sir. So since he is a diplomat and he is seeing the world situation from different eye about all this crisis situation, so I would like to have your opinion, sir, that how do you see that about how the women leadership can change the dynamics of world with respect to peacefulness and the sustainability?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, to have women at the top as parliamentarians or people in a responsible position, not only in politics, but in every branch of life and also in work. And I just want to branch off here, I remember Greta saying, talking about Chancellor and Angela Merkel. But you have to see in India, we have had Indira Gandhi, for example, who was a prime minister, and one of the few very powerful, very, very strong leader in the world. I also would just like to say, I come from a part of India, by the way. If you see the background behind me, this is my hometown. It's just 1 kilometer from where I stay in Manipur. And I come from a part of the world where women have traditionally equal rights. And for example, Meghalaya, which is my next door neighbor, it's a matriarchal society where the women have the right to inherit and all of that. So I think if you talk of personal experience, I come from a society where traditionally women and men have equal rights. But coming back to your question, Gautam, I think it is very important to have more women in responsible positions, whether it's in politics, whether it's in the work, or in any other situation. Yeah, it is very important, especially when we talk of gender equality. It is something that we need to have more of. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your answer, sir. But I want to focus here the beauty of India, that we are talking about so much of biasness, inequality, and so on. And there you come from a place there you already mentioned that it is already completely equal. So that's the beauty of India. And it's thank you very much for bringing this viewpoint. Thank you very much, sir. So there is a question for you from our, let's say, Facebook side. Ritika Rashmi is asking, CG sir, having worked in different parts of the world, And with your experience, how would you think India compared to other nations on gender equality in general? So we have seen that you gave a very nice example of your state, but how would you rate, how would you see as a whole country?
I mean, that's a very interesting question. And from what I know from my experience, I think basically we are the same. Like I said, we had great leaders like Indira Gandhi. And for example, we have the leader of the opposition currently, Sonia Gandhi, who are leading major parties in India. So if you talk of it along that line, we do have women in powerful positions. And you know that even some of the companies have women at the top. And I think, you know, there is a conception that in India, women are at a lower strata, but I think we are also, the women have realized, and there are a lot of women in powerful positions and making a change in society. I mean, I'm not an expert on this. I'm sure all the panelists are all here from India, and you would have better insight and thoughts on this, but that is my perception. I would say we are more or less the same as any other place in the world, despite whatever concepts, you know, what people tend to think you have less rights in India, but ultimately, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful explanation. So like you come from the northeast part and we are talking about, let's say, in other part of the India. So quickly, I will just jump to Neha for a very quick question because he is living a lot of time in the southern part of India. Can you quickly say in a few words that how do you see there, is there a difference between the place where you born, like in the Bihar, with respect to where you are living? Is the different balance in the gender equality in these two regions? Your own experience, no general answer.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Gautam. So I think when I go back to my childhood era, I did see a bit of gender difference and gender inequality. But then I'm very thankful to my father because we are only two daughters and he gave both of us equal opportunities to, you know, rediscover our dreams and passions. However, in general, in Bihar, that time when I was growing up as a teenager, as a kid, in my family, around, in my neighborhood, I could sense something going on, which is not at all fair. But now the situation is actually changing there. And whenever I visit my hometown, Patna, I think I'm so happy seeing the changes, seeing the girls who are, you know, advancing and progressing and living the life of their own dream. However, South has a different culture altogether. I think South is a bit progressive. And here, I think from the time I have landed here, and I think in Hyderabad, it's been more than 13 years now. I personally have never faced any kind of inequality or indiscrimination or something. So I think South has been like that, but Bihar is also progressing and marching towards positivity and advancement and gender equality. So I'm so proud. I've always been proud and I'm so proud today. And I
Thank you very much, Nehal.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So nice. And I see that our Facebook Live is getting a lot of participation and a lot of comments going on. And I will just read the remark from Aarti. She's writing there already that war and pandemic affects women, especially working women, disproportionately. And we have also comment that someone is like Ritika is saying, wonderful point, sir, to CG, sir. Very few people would be knowing that we have a matriarchal society in the part of India. So that's also is very, very true. So now I would say that, give me a second. Yeah. Now I would say that just moving a little bit forward, like we have all discussed a lot about the politics and the decision making and so on. One more key point for Greta. Do you think the country who had women leaders dealt better with the Corona crisis? So same going in the same direction. We take an example of New Zealand and Germany. Again, I would say that do we have enough numbers? Or it is just a good feeling right now that we would believe that it would be the right way to go forward?
At first, I I would normally say so, because everything I read in the press and read about Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, it was very impressive how they dealt with the pandemic. But at least they were an island, and it was very, very well what they did there. But in Germany, we have a male health minister, so it's a system of many people working together. And it's good that we don't have one person deciding everything. I have to say Germany didn't deal very well with the pandemic and the communication of the pandemic. We are right now in a very, very devastating situation. Many people are dying, and I think it's against everything that people think of Germany. I think Germany didn't do well still right now, and we have to say that pandemics hit people very roughly. That's what you read from the comment. I thought about this because you have public finances, and from public finances we have supports for the people and for enterprises and for everyone, financial supports, and most of it went into areas where male people work and not where female people work. And women are also going straight back into households and to taking care of families and everything. So it's a very, very big step back for women in society. So yes, a pandemic hit us very hard, and we have to do a lot for feminism for women right now. And especially Germany didn't do that well. There are other countries that did far better. And I would be very interested to hear more from India, because once I went to India and I just had a lot of very nice women I got to know there, and they had so much things to share and so much knowledge, and they were changing the whole place they were living, and they were coaching women to do their own businesses and everything. It was very impressive. So I would love to hear from the other people from India too about your perspectives.
Thank you very much, Greta. So I will request a very quick answer from Pallavi, and then I will ask the same question to Aarti to give a comment on it. A very quick comment on this. Pallavi, you first, please. Sorry, you are muted, so.
See, I feel women are doing much better as far as employment is concerned. But it is the right time that women should start to learn to invest what they're earning. Because even now, women in India, they do have a lot of participation in the variety of households and variety of employments, but they really don't know what to do with their incomes actually. So investment is the part where we are working on right now with our teams to bring more and more awareness how to deal with the funds they are generating. That is what I feel, the way I see my society these days.
Thank you very much.
Learn to save your money and invest it even better.
So, Pallavi, your voice is breaking, so I will switch to Aarti now for a quick comment on this topic. That do you also believe that the country has a woman had dealt better with the corona crisis, or you have a different opinion?
I think absolutely, because how women leaders showed, be Jacinda from New Zealand, or Angela Merkel from Germany, or from the Norway, Solva. So I mean, how they connected, they thought of innovation. They spoke, that the Norway leaders spoke directly through TV to the kids, and was compassionate. In the trying times, she showed that it's okay to be scared, and showed what love is. The female leaders were very quick to act. They recognized the importance of pandemic. So I think yes, I quite 100% agree. Just one point I would like to say, the very important point Ms. Pallavi has said, that financial independence is not just earning an income, but also looking after your own investment. Females are still looking for their male members of their family to invest their money, and that's where they are standing the chance to get abused. So very well point raised.
Thank you very much. So I will just take a short look on the Facebook. So a lot of comments are coming here. So Kavita Tripti is saying Happy Women's Day. Ritika is saying, Greta, do you see there is a difference in North and South Germany when it comes to gender equality, similar to what Neha noticed in India? A quick answer, please.
No big difference.
Thank you very much. Precisely, I would also agree with you from my own traveling around in Germany. So I agree. So there is also some comment from Palak Mishra. Happy Women's Day. Satish Mittal is also saying Happy Women's Day for all the participant and member of this diaspora. Ariana Arora congratulating all of us. Happy Women's Day is also saying, and Kamlesh Kumar is saying all the speakers and their views are worth valuable for the community. And there were several comments also from Prachi on different instances. Tanvi Indra is saying great insight. Thanks, Neha. So I'm trying to read those comments. So if I'm not able to read all the comments, please forgive me because of the time and it's quite engaging here, the discussion. So I have to also keep my focus here. So thank you very much. So now let's move to the last leg of this discussion. And before I go to that discussion, I will also bring some data like what I'm trying to do. Raja Ramohandrai from India, one of the very few people in his days who really understood the importance of the era in 1800s. He played an important role in empowering women. He campaigned against the polygamy, illiteracy of women, sati pratha, and the degraded estate of widows. The sati pratha was the evilest of these traditions. The ritual involved widows self-immolating at their husband's funeral pay. Because of his efforts, India is free from sati pratha. So I would request Sama to say that, how do you see role of men in current situation to achieve gender equality? Raja Ramohandrai has created a very good example for all of us. How do we see here what we should expect?
Gautam, I think men are playing their role excellently. We are getting the best of the legislations which are empowering women, which are protecting women's rights, and I think it is not possible without the role of the men, because latest may it be an inheritance to females in the families, may it be domestic violence, may it be any evils like dowry, and all laws which we are seeing in present scenario, male has a lot of role to play in that. But I here point out one major issue which I think even the women had a role to play in this women equality, because I think it is not about women equality, it is about gender neutrality. So it is that women also should accept that when male are playing their role, the women also should handle the rights which it is receiving in a very responsible manner, because we are getting so good laws which are for protection of domestic violence, for again evils, but somehow we experience that sometimes these are misused against men, and this will push females behind again back to from where we have started. The equality which we have achieved, the respect we are achieving, and the equality which we will be pushed back, because when I see 10 years back, it is a small example, I think it is a very important point. 10 years back, when the dowry prohibition complaints were made, or domestic violence complaints were made, the courts used to take it very seriously, and strict actions used to be taken. Women have started misusing to some extent, and now they are not taken very seriously about it. So I consider that both female and male, both they have to play an equal role for bringing gender equality or gender neutrality. If we expect that men should play a role just to promote female and to give preferences, I think females also should accept those whatever they are receiving or whatever support they are getting from male in a responsible manner, and should respond in a responsible manner to that.
Thank you very much. I also believe that, yes, it is not like his part or your part, her part. It has to come together like a bicycle. Both wheel has to work equally good, not a small, not big. And then we might proceed in the right direction with the right speed. So I would now like to quickly get the opinion from Pallavi on this topic about role of more men in the women empowerment or equality, and then I will last go to Hannah, and that will be the end of the session for the day. So Pallavi, you first, please.
See, we have been very fortunate to have a great statesman as our Prime Minister right now. Shri Narendra Modi has taken a lot of strong steps to elevate the women, and his major steps were like evoking triple talaq, bringing strength to the women, and see, this single rule saves 3 women, right? So
Yeah.
it has been, he has brought in a lot of things, and even the crime rate has fallen back drastically, especially in the youth. So if such a statement continue, I'm pretty sure that others will also inspire from him, and whoever would take them, they can get things done for them.
So Pallavi, we are not able to hear you properly, but I got the message that yes, there is a different
The
situation that.
society starts with the family. Hmm.
So Pallavi, we are not able to hear
Hmm.
you so well. So at least I take the point that
My
yes, like,
internet, yeah, it's
so I take the point that yes, like Narendra Modi has taken some steps. So there are different men who are taking the steps. And as Shama has said, so sometimes men has to come forward, sometimes women has to come forward. Depending on the situation and scenario, we have to come together to get the gender neutrality. So now the final comment from Hannah before we close the session.
Yikes, hopefully it's good enough for a final comment. But I want to say, like, in all of these discussions, right, we've been talking about, are women going to be able to achieve more? And I think when you talk about equality, there shouldn't be a difference between having a man or a woman at the head, right? And so we should be putting a little bit more pressure on men. What is the difference that women are bringing that men can't be doing? And why are we putting all of the pressure on women to be the ones stepping up and being the saviors and being able to contribute all of this? We need to put more pressure on men to take that family approach, to take that maybe emotional approach, to take that human approach on things. And we can see it down all the way through. If you're in our companies, if men talk about what are they making, then women know how they compare. Right? If men talk about the advantages and the opportunities they're receiving, then they're supporting women to go, oh, this is a thing that exists that I can ask for. A big part of this is women need to know about the opportunities. Women need to know what's happening. Women need to know what is the man being paid so that I can ask for that. We should absolutely be asking for what we deserve, but if men are already making way more than that, we need to know about that. And so I think men need to be stepping up in their communication, in their transparency, and being aware of the circumstances and the situations that are happening around them and taking action on that.
So thank you very, very much for sharing your viewpoint. And it was a quite wonderful end, I would say, with this topic where the main role, what we expect, but we all agree that it is not like we expect from one side and the other has to deliver. It has to come together. So just before
Can I speak one thing?
Yes, please.
Can I speak? Yeah. So we all have discussed about peace and sustainability and how women leadership are, marching on to make this world a sustainable and peaceful one, and for zero carbon emission world and green software and everything like that. But similarly, I think if both men and women work together and progress together so that nobody suffers, I think the world would be a very good place to live in. So as we are marching towards, zero carbon emission, we should also work and march towards zero sufferance or zero tolerance level. I know it's distant, but it's not impossible. So we should collaborate, both men and women together, treat each other equally, and work towards this zero sufferance or zero tolerance goal. That's important.
Thank you very much, Neha. I think we all would agree with such a vision. And of course, there are several people who are bringing this vision into mission, and someday, hopefully, we will reach. Not we need 130 year or 140 year. Let's try that someone will be smart enough from all of us to bring it with a newer idea and do it faster. So before I close, just few remarks from our Facebook Live. So Ritika is saying it is pretty that the rights has been misused. So it was with respect to Shama's statement, the women are misusing the right time to time. And Prachi is saying that, yeah, very well said, Pallavi. So all good. So I would say that it was a very wonderful sessions. I know that someone has to leave for other event. Today is a Women's Day celebration. So I will just say that All the questions from audience are also done. So thank you, everyone. Danke schön. Dhanyavad.
Yes.
Thank you very much to all of you.
Can I just add
you.
a closing line?
Yeah,
We
please.
cannot change the landscape for women if men are not part of the journey and movement.
Yeah.
Very true. So we all agree with this. So thank you very much, Aarti, for bringing your point. So once again, thank you very much to all of you for
Thank you
wonderful
so much.
discussion.
Thanks to you.
Thanks, Gautam. Thanks, everyone.
I
Have
learned a
great
lot
Women's
from
Day and let's stay connected.
Thanks, Gautam, for playing your role today in celebrating the Women's Day. So this is the role which men are contributing in.
Thank you very much. So I must say that I learned a lot from you all, and I hope that you all had we created some good memories for each other. And I hope in future, even when people will watch this, they will also have some good memories and they will enjoy it. So to all the audience, to all of you girls, all guys, stay tuned on our social media handles to be updated with upcoming events. You can also participate and contribute towards society. Namaste, choose, bye.